All right, well, hey there, folks. I'm Meteorologist Matt Barrentine. Boy, it's been quite a year in a lot of ways, and just we're looking at this the other day, and it still seems pretty surreal that here we are in October, the 10th month of the year, and 9 of those 10 months have been well above average. Some of them way above average, like August and May were way above average, but most months have been above average. And I think the thing about this, the way it goes, is that I know you see some of these numbers on here, like 2.5 degrees October or 2.3 in July. Those don't seem like big numbers, but when we're talking about averages here, anything above or below about 1 is pretty significant because we're talking about long-term averages here. The only month that we are below average was barely below average, and that was January at 0.2 degrees. But most months we have been significantly above average. So, I mean, if it seemed like it's been a hot year to you, it most certainly has. And we've been continuing that here into October. I think I just counted 5 or 6 days in October where we've hit 90 degrees. We've broken and tied several records here this month. I know it may not feel like that terribly hot of a month here because of the way it goes, where, you know, a record in late October is not like a record in September or a record in August, right? You know, a 90-degree with low day with low humidity in late October doesn't feel like, you know, a 99-degree day does in September, for sure. So you may not even really have noticed it, but we've broken several records this month. And although we're not breaking any records today, it's still pretty hot, well above average. I mean, our average this time of year should be in the mid-70s, and we continue to be in the mid-80s every day. So we're about 10 degrees above average here every day. Now, you look at those monthly averages, say, well, if we're 10 degrees above average, why is it? Well, I'm talking about the daytime heating. And you got these averages take into account the morning and the afternoon. And, you know, especially in the summertime when we get to 98 degrees, that's only, like 3 or 4 degrees above average. So it's not that far of a point above average. And if the morning low is basically on average, it just doesn't, you can see how we'd have smaller numbers here. So anyway, I'm getting too deep into that. Just suffice it to say, it's been really warm this month, this year, and this month. And we continue to see that. And we were doing pretty good with rainfall most of the year, and then it just dropped off the board here in October. I mean, you can see the departure from normal on the month is 3 inches. Our departure on the year is only 4 1/3, so it's only like an inch and a quarter above that. So when this month started, we only had a very small deficit, wasn't a big deal. But so far this month, we've only had half an inch of rain, and that stinks. I mean, it's made everything dry out. Now, October can be a dry month. So the weird thing about it for us is that we're actually doing better than a lot of areas. For folks up in Atlanta, the funny thing is, this is weird about how this is all worked out. You can see up here around Atlanta, oops, I zoomed way too far in, up around Atlanta, Asheville, North Carolina, the areas that were just devastated by Helene, they're not in a drought because they got 2 feet of rain during Helene. But they haven't seen a drop of rain since Helene in late September. So they haven't seen a drop of rain the entire month of October up around Atlanta, Asheville, I think Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte, North Carolina has had any rain. So all these areas that were absolutely devastated by Helene, when we've seen the washed out roads, all the major issues they've had up there, now they've gone completely dry. So we've been really dry, they've gone dry, the whole Southeast has gone dry. But once again, the only reason that you don't see them included in Georgia in the drought monitor is simply because Helene. I mean, this whole strip you see that isn't filled in, that's all Helene's rains that washed away, it's kept them from being technically in a drought because they still have surpluses even though they haven't seen rain. I mean, their surplus is going to last them through the end of the year, but technically they've dried out. And even though they may not be in a drought, they're feeling kind of drought-like conditions because they've had a full month of no rain. For us, we're in a level 2 drought across our area. And keep in mind, this drought monitor the Weather Prediction Center, how they put this together, they do it once a week. Remember, a drought's not like, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. So they only release a drought monitor once a week, so they go over all the, the numbers, the rainfall, the temperatures factor into a drought. The hotter it is, the more severe the drought will come. And I don't know if you remember last year, we had a flash drought end of last summer when it didn't hardly rain parts of August and through most of September, and it was 100 degrees every day. That created a flash drought. In other words, generally, you call a drought a disaster in slow motion. Flash drought is kind of, you're ramping it up, you're accelerating. It's not really slow motion quite anymore. That's what we saw last summer, and we're kind of getting that here, where because of the heat, it is a bit of a flash drought. It's probably not technically a flash drought as the way the term is defined, but it's pretty close. And what we're going to see, once again, I got lost again rambling. Every Thursday is when this product is on. Every Thursday morning, I think it comes out around 8 in the morning-ish. And so we'll get a new one tomorrow morning. And I'm fully anticipating the drought widening in our area and deepening. We're in a level 2 across much of the area, but you can see a little bit of level 3 just north of our area up in Wilcox County up here. You can see a little sliver. That's that severe level 3. I'm certain that that's going to expand into our area when they update all this. We're also likely to see an expansion down here with a level 2 and level 1 down into this area. So coastal Baldwin just happened to see a little bit more rain than some other areas. The only other part of Alabama that's not in a drought technically is over here around Dothan. Once again, they got some of those rains from Helene, and that's what's helped to keep them technically out of drought, but they've still been dry over the last month. So anyway, the whole point of all this is that abnormally warm year, abnormally dry year, not a good combination, and I don't see anything major to change that. At least in the 7-day rain chances here, at least we have a day there, Wednesday, where we have at least a rain chance. It's not a huge rain chance, but at least it's a rain chance. Scattered showers on Wednesday. Obviously, it's going to take more than a 40% rain chance to bust up this drought that we are currently in. We need some more consistent rains. It takes a while to get into a drought, and usually, I say usually, it takes a while to get out of a drought. And of course, you don't want another Helene, 2 feet of rain to completely wipe away the drought in one go, because then you just have the other problems, right? We need more consistent rain, about once every 5 or 6 days, getting a front that comes through that drops, quarter to a half inch of rain every single week without fail, a couple times a week like that. That would be beautiful. That would really get us back to where we need to be without causing us any issues. I don't know when that's going to happen. Like I said, the only chance we have is next Wednesday, and it's just a scattered chance. So we'll see how it all goes. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on this. Obviously, one of the things I've been mentioning, I know I usually try, and I haven't done it yet because of the conditions. Usually, for me, in late October, I start putting out that rye grass seed in my backyard. It really helps to, keep the grass, or to keep it from getting too much of a dirt pile in the wintertime. But by growing some of that winter rye, my dog will chew up the ground. Having that winter rye really helps with that. But you got to have some rain. You could water every day, don't get me wrong. If you have a sprinkler system, you could do all that. And I could water it every day. But it would take a lot of watering. You need some, as nice as it is to have a sprinkler system or to put a sprinkler out, it's still much better to have natural rainfall to help you out when you're trying to get something going, especially like grass seed, especially in the first couple weeks that you plant it. Once you get past that 2-week mark or so and it's starting to come up, then it's usually a little better off. But that first couple weeks, you really got to water it a lot, and it's helpful to have some actual rain to help you with that, even if you have a sprinkler system. So, like I said, I haven't bought the grass seed yet, because what's the point? Maybe by late next week, I can go ahead and do that, get some of that down so the dog can't tear up the backyard too much. All right. Well, thank you for listening to my rambling. I hope you're having yourself a good one. How about I leave you with this? Go ahead and just put up that long-range forecast so you can see what we got going on. Obviously, tomorrow is is Halloween. It's going to be warm. I mean, hey, that's what I've been talking about, right? A lot going on in the 7-day forecast here. Man, we got Halloween tomorrow, November 1st, Friday. Blues with homecoming on Saturday. The clock goes back Saturday night. When you wake up on Sunday, it'll be, standard time. The sun will set at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Sorry. That's the way it works. And then next Tuesday, of course, is Election Day. So we have a lot going on in the next week, but you notice the forecast doesn't change. It's going to be mild in the mornings, warm in the afternoons. At least we're staying below record territory with the temperatures, but still it's nearly 10 degrees above average. So it continues to be very warm, and that's not going to change as we move from October into November. Have a good one, folks.